Today we are going to discuss what is called monism. Monism. Monism is a very radical idea. There are many kinds of monism. Monism is used in many contexts, but here we are using it in the context of religion, of Hinduism and Buddhism. We are trying to explore what is unique to Hinduism and Buddhism with an intention to see how this particular idea may also have spread to other religions. Let us take one very unusual feature of Hinduism. Hinduism may have caste system and untouchability, discrimination, but there is one thing that Hinduism offers to an individual which no religion offers, and that is only in Hinduism man can be a god. Man can be a god. It is not that man can be a saint. No, he can be a god himself. There is no religion in which man can be equated with God. Man is worshipped, and where there is a philosophical justification for taking man as God, and not man as a saint or a good man, great man. No, man as a God, and God as a creator and the entity that can fulfill your wishes. In recent years, take Shirdi Sai Baba. Shirdi Sai. Shirdi Sai Baba is worshipped as God. My parents are devotees of Sai Baba. My house is full of his photos. And I noticed my parents don't make any distinction between somebody like Lord Venkateshwara and Shirdi Sai Baba. They take God as a creator, somebody who can fulfill their wishes. And Baba, who belonged to only recent years, who was born as a man and walked and lived like any other, is regarded as God. They pray him in the same way they pray to Lord Venkateshwara, or Shiva, or Vishnu, Rama, Krishna. There is no difference at all. So we can say man without any ideological, logical, religious objections, being treated as a god is unique to Hinduism. Unique to Hinduism. I would say it is unique to Hinduism and not even to Buddhism, because in Buddhism there is no concept of God. So we can say that only Hinduism offers to man the highest mobility, the ability to become a god himself, which is a very, very rare distinction. It is not there in other religions. We are exploring why it may be like this. And I would like to say that, of course, what I am doing is some speculation around certain central concepts in philosophy. My speculation is that this concept is related to the concept of moksha. This is related to the concept of moksha. I think something like moksha, I mean, some kind of self-realization or some kind of transformation, some have experienced before. Some got this first. And they talked about, maybe in some not so clear ways, and something like transformation was part of the literature or the times of Buddhism. It is on this Buddha tried. As we discussed, Buddha had a hypothesis of something like moksha before he himself experienced. So there was a concept Buddha was trying to realize, and Buddha realized. And when he realized, there was a lot more clarity to what that transformation was about. And we know Buddha realized the nature of desire and freedom from that process, in which something like self transformation takes place, some kind of an ego transformation. I won't say it is ego dissolution, it is ego transformation, ego shrinking, or ego not playing the central role in the working of an individual, because of which there is a different relationship with the world, with the outside world. What does all this mean? This means inner transformation. This is inner transformation. Inner transformation. Inner transformation is experienced as a state which Buddha called nirvana, which same thing as moksha. So, and Buddha, was not linking this to God. Buddha was talking about a state of mind without reference to God. And Buddha said there is something like a state, and to experience this state, God is not needed. So Buddha went purely internal, And earlier, there was a state and then the concept of God. So I think it came about as something like uh, if only ego is transformed, mm, you become one with God. If only ego transformed, then you become one with God. I think these ideas came to be expressed in similar ways. Um, one traditional way of experiencing is that uh, Atman merges with Brahman. Atman merges with Brahman. So essentially, something inner or transformation inside is linked to order outside, creation and God. So the inside and the outside are linked in such a way that if something happens inside, you become one with God, equal to God, and become God. This oneness is monism, which from Shankara time became Advaita. Advaita stands for no division between you and God. Or Atman is an expression of Brahman, or a individual soul is an aspect of Supreme Soul. No division between you and Brahman. So essentially, the inner psychological transformation is equated with, linked with external control system that was God, which means Vedic ideas, Buddha's realization, and later day Hinduism all contributed to conflict-free acceptance of a Hindu in taking man as a god. In the end, there is something in us that is preventing us from becoming God. Okay, monism is not the same thing as monotheism. Monotheism means one God. Monism is about oneness. In this context, oneness between man and God. Hinduism represents monism and also monotheism. Hindus may believe in many gods, but they take all these gods are expressions of one God. So in that sense, there is polytheism as well as monotheism in Hinduism. But philosophically, what is of more importance is not monotheism or polytheism, but monism itself. Okay. So I think Buddha and the Sankara and then many other developments contributed to making something like Sai Baba a god without any contradictions that how could a man create the world? It is not like that. Mm. And anyway, it is not only Shri Sai Baba. You can see even at local, in many local religions. Um, some extraordinary people becoming gods. I knew one from my own region. His name was Kotireti. He was like a saint, and after he died, festival, some festival also is being celebrated in a place where he was buried. So, man becoming God is something very natural um, in a conflict free way. A Hindu can become God. Okay, so that's about Hinduism and Buddhism. What are the implications of this to the world? Other religions. Other religions. There is one important point I have to make here. I think it was Hinduism and plus Buddhism was primarily responsible for mysticism across religions. This is a very significant statement which need not be agreed, but that can be explored. Mysticism refers to experiencing some kinds of oneness with something much higher than self. There are Christian mystics, Islamic mystics. If you take the fact that these took place very, very early, Buddha 6th century BC, and Christianity after hundreds of years, and Islam very recent, and the fact that the world is connected and religious ideas spread. So mysticism across the religions also may have come from this. How can we say that? Number one, we have one person who spoke logically, elaborately, in an extremely influential way. That was Buddha. And many around the world were influenced by him. Hinduism also was influenced. So I think the idea that if something happens in you, something more than self comes, has a spread. And here let me make it clear. When I say spreading, it is not actually an idea. It spreads as an idea also, but there is a truth in this. It is not simply an idea. There is a truth. That's a phenomenon. That is an experiential thing. Buddha was not the first person to experience it, and definitely not the last. Here and there, people are experiencing something beyond self, and Buddhist literature gave certain descriptions of it. And some, of course, tried and achieved. Eckhart Tolle, in recent years. He didn't know anything about it when he got it. He had depression, suicidal thoughts. Then he asked, who is it who is trying to commit suicide? Who is it suffering? Then somehow he got the disconnection from the self. Then he experienced some kind of a bliss, relief. And later he read these things. Which means this kind of experience is realizable. So it is not that Buddha made it long ago and everybody else was reading about it. No. People are making it to different degrees. So that is the source of mysticism across religions. So when somebody says that all religions are same and there are certain common currents of thought in what is called perennial philosophy. Perennial philosophy. Okay. Perennial philosophy, which somebody like Said Hussein Nazar also talks about. Hussein Nazar. Hussein Nazar also talks about there is underlying unity. I think that underlying unity came from Hinduism and Buddhism. Is it not a bold assertion? I think it's a bold assertion. Is it too sweeping and unrealistic? I don't think so, because this took place very, very early. Other religions came much later. And also another thing is that to think that the ideas may have spread from this place, we can see the purity of that idea in Hinduism. Whereas in other religions, they find difficult to accept man as God. Man, they have spiritual experience, mystical experience, sense of oneness, loving God, becoming close to God. But God was somebody above. It means monism in a pure form is in Hinduism or in Buddhism. So when others find it difficult to take man as God, and where Hindus take it as logical, one can guess that the idea spread from this to other religions. And because God was seen as very external, they found it difficult to treat man as God. For example, something like Sufism is considered anti-Islam by many. And many Christian mystics also were persecuted historically. Which means man close to God, man as God, was not in the nature of Christianity and Islam. Man as God as an idea went from Hinduism and Buddhism. And some people there realized it, and they fought against the mainstream ideas that God was somebody much above and man should obey God. So, this hypothesis has serious implications. So, to put it boldly and bluntly, if there is unity across religions, most probably that unity is supplied by Hindu Buddhist thought. Thank you.